Morning Year 4, I hope you are all okay. This is Miss Atkin here with your Monday's literacy lesson. The first thing you need to do in your book is open to the next clean double page and write Monday the 8th of February 2021, today's date. Our learning objective today, which is to plan and research to do, and then your subheading SPAG, ready to do our SPAG starter. So pause the video so you can write those 3 things in your book. For SPAG today, we are going to be looking at prepositions. So have a think, you can pause the video if you like. What is a preposition? What do you know about it? A preposition is a word that tells you where or when something is in relation to something else. For example, after tells us I went to the shop after school. Behind tells us where I stood behind the chair, and under tells us where as well. My legs are underneath the table. Can you think of any other prepositions? You might have thought of a few more. So pause this video and go back onto the blog and click the BBC Bite-Size link and watch the video on their page about prepositions, and then come back to our lesson. It is only about a minute, so it shouldn't take too long. So pause the video and go and watch that one. Now you have watched that video, you should have a bit of a better refreshed memory of what prepositions are. So here I have got some prepositions on my page. Do they tell us where or when? We need to sort them into this table. So we've got behind, since, after, under, above, near and before. Pause the video to have a think about each word and if it should go in the where column or the when column. Our first word is behind. Does that tell me where or when? Behind tells me where. I stood behind the chair. What about since? Does since tell me where or when? Since tells us when. So since I finished school, I have been sat on the sofa. What about under? Does that tell us where or when? Under tells us where. The box is under the table. What about after? After tells us when. After school, I went to the park. Above. Does above tell us where or when? Above tells us where. The birds fly above the clouds. Then we have near. Near, does that tell us where or when? Near tells us where. I live near to the shop. And finally, before, does it tell us where or when? Before I started school, I went to nursery. It tells us when. Your first challenge then is mild, spicy or hot. Write down the words or words that are the preposition. So mild is on and bright. There is one preposition. Can you find which one it is? Spicy is behind, quietly and after. There are 2 prepositions. Can you write down the correct ones? And for hot, we've got across, famously and against. Again, there are 2 prepositions. Can you write down the correct ones? So pause the video to have a go at that task. Mild's preposition was on. The box was on the table. Tells us where. Spicy's prepositions, there were 2. Is behind is the first one, and after you should have written down. This one tells us where and after tells us when. Then we've got hot. Your first preposition was across. This one tells us where. And then we've got against. That also tells us where. So your book should look a little bit like this, and you can give yourself a nice tick if you've got those correct. Here I have got a sentence. Can you spot which word is the preposition in the sentence? It says, turtles live under the sea. Which word is the preposition that tells me where or when? Under is the preposition. It tells me where. Turtle lives under the sea. They don't live behind the sea. They don't live on top of the sea. They might live in the sea, but it says they live under. It tells me where. So, your next challenge, mild, spicy or hot. Write the sentence and underline the preposition. Mild says monkeys live in the trees. Spicy says birds fly above the clouds to travel places. And hot says lions stare through the grass to hunt for their prey. So pause the video so you can write down your sentence and underline the preposition. If you choose mild, you should have underlined in. It tells us that the monkeys live in the trees. That's where they live. Spicy, birds fly above the clouds. It tells us where they fly. And hot says lions stare through the grass to hunt for their prey. It tells us where again. So now you should have got nice 2 ticks in your book if you've got the answers correct. So we have finished doing our campaigns now, so we are moving on to something else in literacy. We are going to be writing an encyclopedia page explaining animal habitats and classification. So what do you think is the purpose of this writing? What is the purpose of our writing? Pause the video so you can have a think on the purpose. The purpose of our writing is to inform. We are going to be informing people about animal habitat and classification. Our writing is going to be an explanation. That's what we're going to be doing. We're explaining them. So today we are going to be planning our research study. So quick think, what have I've just said? What are we going to be researching? We are going to be researching animals. So the first thing you need to do is choose an animal. On the screen here I have got panda, sea turtles, penguins and elephants. I would like you to choose from these 4 animals because I have given you fact files for them, so it will help you when it comes to researching. Okay, I would very much like you to choose one of these. If you think I'm going to be able to research on the internet and won't need a fact file, you might choose a different animal. However, I would recommend one of these because I need the fact file as extra research. So give yourself a few minutes or to write down which animal you're going to be researching. We need to think about what sources we can use to research, because we're going to have to research this animal and learn all about it. So what kind of sources can we use? What kind of methods can we use to research? So pause the video so you can have a think of how we will research our animals. One way we might research is through articles. You could find articles about our animals. We could find podcasts about our animals. We could find magazines about the animals that might help us research. We could use different texts. We could use websites. We could use the internet. Or we could use videos. So there are so many different sources that we can use to research our animals. So I'm going to go through each of them. The first thing we could use are websites. So here I've got the website WWF website and the National Geographic Kids website. So I'm going to show you both of those so you can have a look. Okay, as you can see here, I am on the wwf.org.uk website and I'm on the Fascinating Facts page. So if we scroll down, We can see that there are facts on marine life, so animals that live in water. There are facts on land dwellers, so animals who live on the land, so elephants and pandas are on there. Then there's cold weather species, so penguins are there, and all of these different animals that you can research. If we go on this Learn tab, you can see that there are also African elephants on there, and there's a sea owl. This might show us all the different animals we can learn about. Oh, there's a sea turtle that we can learn about on this website. So we can go on sea turtles, we can go on emperor penguin, there's elephants, Asian elephants, African elephants. We could use this website. We could also use the National Geographic Kids website. If you go on the Discover, they have an animals section. And again, like the WWF one, it's got pages of different facts about animals. So it's got pandas and lions, polar bears, turtles, and elephants. I'm going to click on elephants. If I click on it, it'll bring me, it says 10 unforgettable facts about elephants. And this page gives me lots of facts about elephants. You might find different websites that you could use, or you might already know some websites that would have a good load of facts for you. Next, we could use different types of text. So we could use fact files. If you look into your pack, you will see that there are 4 fact files on the 4 different animals that you could choose from. So you might choose to use fact files to research. You might also find that you want to use non-fiction books. If we go on to Big Cat Collins, you will see that you might have some non-fiction books assigned to you that you could use to research. Here I am on my Big Cat Collins library, and you can see that I have got some non-fiction animal books assigned to me that you could choose to research with those. You will need these for Thursday's lesson, so don't read them all at once, but you could use them to research. You could research using videos, so you might go onto YouTube and type in facts about turtles or elephants or pandas and find lots of videos with different facts. You could also go onto Google and use their videos feature, and that will tell you, come up with even more videos that you could use. You could use magazines or articles, so again, you could search on Google, animal magazines, or article on turtles, or article on elephants, and it might come up with some good kids articles. Make sure you use the word kids and it might be easier for you. But you could find articles or magazines. You could also find podcasts. So if you went onto YouTube, you could search kids podcasts on turtles or on animals, whatever animal you've chosen. You could also use Spotify, which I will show you now. If you choose that you want to use podcast, you can search for Spotify and go to the web player, and you will be able to search for podcasts on animals. If you go, you don't need to sign up. It should load and come up with a search bar. Search. I missed it then. And you could search for kids animal podcast, and it might come up with kids animal podcast. There you go, and there's loads of podcasts you could use. So now I have shown you all of the different sources you could use. It is time for you to get on with your task. So you've got mild, spicy or hot. You need to draw out this table into your book. So you've chosen your animal, write that at the top of the page, and then write out the table. Think about what you already know about your animal, what you would like to know about your animal, and what sources you will use. So I've gone through 6 different kinds of sources that you might use for your research, okay? Your book will then look something like this. So you've got your table, what you already know, so things you already know, facts. You might know where they live or what they eat. You might think, I would like to know how many species there are, or something like that. And then think about the sources that you are going to use to find those facts out. So I've chosen to use websites like National Geographic Kids and WWF website and fact files. Once you have done that, you might want to have a go at the challenge, which is to pick one of the sources and explain why you have chosen it. Okay, so that is your task. Off you go.